Are you excited to see your nephew play?
Very excited, yeah. It's a big day for our family, and it's like last night Drew came over for dinner, and it was like there's an Oiler family cult following here. It's kind of fun.
You know, it's interesting to hear him talk about the memories he had of being a kid here and how special it was to be on the ice with Gretzky and Messier. Do you remember back with those days what it was like to see your nephew out there when he's 5, 6 years old?
Oh yeah, it was fun because it's always nice to see my brother when we were traveling. He lived in Milwaukee, so whenever we went to Chicago, he would come up, and Drew always came with him. And of course, I told him to keep his skates in the car. So he got on the ice. He was on the ice with the big boys many times in the early days. So I've got some good photos of him and Messier and him and Craig McTavish and the boys just having fun out there.
How much do you think that went along the lines of Drew making it to the NHL as the influence to see those players and to have an uncle working in the league?
I think it's a huge influence, and I remember the days when Ray Whitney used to be a locker room attendant for us. He was a young stick boy when his dad worked with us, and the influence that these guys have on those young players really motivates them. And so anytime we get a chance to bring the kids down to the locker room and just to see exactly what it takes to be a pro, because it takes an awful lot of work and a lot of dedication to get to where these guys are, and they can see that when they're young kids growing up, because of course they idolize the NHL players.
Do you talk with Rip Simonik a lot about Drew? Do you guys chat at all about taking care of him?
I didn't have to say too much. Rip and I go back a long way, and he's got my back. So he keeps an eye on. He's kept an eye on Drew. I mean, Drew's a good kid. He knows the way. He learned long before he got to the NHL, and he's very respectful. And he knew what to expect, just because, like we talked about years ago, he'd been in a locker room and in the NHL. He went through a great program at North Dakota, and so he was prepared.
And final thing, Barrie, the best case scenario for you tonight is a hat trick for Drew and a 4-3 win, right?
Exactly. That's exactly what I told him. I hope you get a hat trick, buddy. But as long as we win, I don't care.